Deselich, she's from Southeast Region, she's the secretary. And I want to thank you for coming from this year's 2013 Candidate Forum. Kansas City Neighborhood Advisory Council serves an important purpose in the city. We are the link between your neighborhoods and the city. There's a lot of discussion. People don't know who to call when they have a problem. They may call 311, but if your neighborhood has a real problem and you can't get a hold of 311, if there's something that 311 doesn't know, you can call us and we will come out and help you, walk you through the problem, tell you who to contact in City Hall, or in some cases be with you and help you get that problem solved. But we come from the neighborhoods just like the rest of you. You're all neighborhood leaders, or been past presidents of our neighborhood associations, or we're all in some way connected to neighborhoods within Kansas City. So it is important that you come out today to see who is running to elect the new NAC officers for your region. But I want to say also, please fill out the form that is on the top of the form agenda sheet. It allows us to ensure that we have current information on your neighborhood association, because we send out a lot of emails, because there's a lot of programs that come out, and if we can't get a hold of you, we send out a monthly news flyer for the central region, for the north region, and we're going to be looking at one sent out for the overall city region. We're putting together a NAC website, and I know a lot of you only think that it's something that is paid for by the city. Folks, this is something that the 16 people sitting here came together out of our pockets and paid, because we saw the need for it. And sometimes, as you all know, trying to get something through the city takes a little bit of difficulty. We are pitched in and we could get it done a lot faster, because we want to get the information out to the neighborhoods as quick as we can. So with that, please ensure, if you know other neighborhoods in Kansas City, please let us know. We have this electronically, we can send it to you, get it to them, because it is vital. Our city is only as strong as its weakest neighborhood. I know a lot of neighborhoods, when we go to many meetings per month, are asking for training and different things. If you know training that you want, please let us know, because next year we're going to be getting out, offering training in our neighborhoods. Everything from legal aid to how to build a better board, but it all starts with a request that comes from the neighborhood. With that, I want to introduce Jared. He's going to tell you a little bit about NAC and our history. Jared Campbell.
Good afternoon, my name is Jared Campbell. I'm one of the two Central West Region representatives. The Kansas City Neighborhood Advisory Council was an expansion of the former Property Maintenance Advisory Committee and was formed in 2003. It is an advisory board to the governing bodies of the City of Kansas City on matters that affect neighborhood welfare, and it addresses proposed city policies and programs, makes recommendations to the Director of the Neighborhood and Housing Services Department, and gives feedback to the Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and all department directors regarding the concerns and perceived impacts of decisions that affect neighborhoods. Our mission is to be a unified community voice that promotes quality of life for all Kansas City neighborhoods. Now I'll turn it over to my colleague Pat Lynch to talk about the candidates.
Hi, I'm Pat Lynch, and I'm going to introduce each of the candidates. Normally, we would start at one end of the table, and the colleagues with the north area, we move to the other. But Katherine is from the southwest section, and she's not feeling well, and she needs to speak first. She spent a lifetime doing community service items. She grew up on a farm and was brought up to believe that you serve your community. Katherine has lived in multiple places through her lifetime, such as South Dakota, Minnesota, Massachusetts, and Wisconsin, just to mention a few. She was the first woman mayor in South St. Paul, Minnesota. She served as an elected official in Boston, Massachusetts, Memphis, Tennessee, and Louisiana. She's been involved with TIF financing in some of those areas. She was appointed by the governor to serve with the St. Paul Transit Board. She likes being involved in process, knowing that the process is what contributes to the consensus and gaining a consensus. She believes the community gets a better consensus through being involved with the process, and she believes in grassroots democracy. She likes to work in her vegetable garden because she cans a lot of her own food. She enjoys working with her flowers as well. She is also currently writing a children's book series that she hopes to have completed this year. Catherine, would you like to come forward? Okay.
I've copied some of my application and my candidate statement. And I haven't had much of a voice, so apparently we have some communication issues. I was the first woman here in South St. Paul, and I was active in the communities, not the councils of Massachusetts and Memphis and all those other places. So Minnesota, I know. And I know I was very hard to understand a couple days ago because I didn't have any voice hardly at all. Anyway, so I want to clear the record there. But I have had a lifetime of involvement in community service, so hopefully you can read all of my experience. But the thing that I am most interested in is process. As Joe said earlier, what happens in one neighborhood impacts us all. And so there's all kinds of issues that sometimes we can disagree on the how to get there, how to resolve problems. But if we don't have a fair and open process that recognizes diversity, that welcomes people, that anybody can come forward and share their ideas and their beliefs, then we don't get as good of resolutions as we could have. We need all of the ideas, all of the suggestions to be the best that we can be as neighborhoods. So process is important. I believe that the most important part of communication, which is essential for any effective board and our neighborhoods to work together, is listening. Listening, and really listening and having an open mind. My ideas, well, I've had a lot of experience and a lot of the people here, just because we have an idea doesn't make it the best one. And so therefore, we need to listen and sometimes represent opinions from neighborhoods that maybe we aren't totally in sync with, but we've got to listen to because neighborhoods are unique and distinct. So what might work in one neighborhood might not necessarily work the best in another neighborhood. The priorities that I would like to work on are zoning issues, Chapter 88, and the area plan, especially in the Southland, is going to be very important. There's going to be substantial development out there that's going to impact our neighborhoods greatly, and we need zoning codes that are enforced and are fair to the neighborhoods. Yes, we need business and quality jobs, but we shouldn't have to sacrifice residential neighborhoods. I'd also like to play a part in improving communication via Southwest newsletter and in some of the training programs, of which, in my experience, there's many issues out there of land bank grants and things like that, but we're also, we need to work together as boards, and a lot of people don't, in neighborhoods, have problems with maybe if one person running the whole show and other people falling away. I ask for your vote to continue to work in neighborhoods and to represent you and the people in the Southland, but more importantly, to work with everyone across the city and with the board. And I want to thank Rianna and Joe and Aaron and his committee and everybody that played a big part. And almost forgot you, Pat. Everybody that played a part in making this candidate forum. So thank you to all of you.
And thanks for all the people.
Do you have any questions for Katherine? Do you have any questions or comments or anything that you'd like to make at this time? Certainly.
Okay. Where do you live right now?
I live in basically 435 in home.
in the Indian Heights Homeowners Association. So,
Anyone else? No? Okay, we'll move right along then. The next candidate is gonna be Polly Jones. She's from the Northland on the west side. She represents the northwest area of the Northland, in its entirety. And mainly that's Platte County, but part of it may be a little bit in Clay County too, I'm not really sure. She has 4 children, 2 of which she brought with her for clapping in the audience, etc. She's very, very knowledgeable in computers and in websites and all of that, and she and Aaron are working, and some other people on doing things with our website, etc. So at this time, I'll let Polly come up and speak to everyone.
Hi. Now, I've only been on the board for about 4 months. I was brought in to fill an empty position, and now I'm running for re-election. And from the Northland, we have our own unique set of problems. Yes, the Northland is wonderful, and we have great neighborhoods, and it seems like everybody and their mother's uncle has moved up there in the past 15 years. Because when I first moved there, Berry Road was 2 lanes. We didn't have a movie theater, we didn't have Zona Rosa, we had like 3 restaurants to choose from, and if you wanted to shop, Metro North Mall was 6 miles away. Now, Berry Road is like 6-7 lanes in places, and there's so many people and so much traffic, and then they have planned development for like 60,000 more homes up there. And it's great, it's wonderful, but we have to make sure that it's done responsibly, and it keeps the neighborhoods and the quality of life the same. Because sad to say, it used to be Central Kansas City was a great place to live and raise your families. And then it was South Kansas City was the great place to live and raise your families. And the challenges that those 2 areas have faced in the last 20, 30 years are something that we up north need to learn from and avoid, and make sure that we don't fall into any of the same traps that those areas have fallen into with industry and allowing our neighborhoods to deteriorate. And so we don't have to do the work to help bring them back. But we can help our other neighborhoods in the central and in the south, as every neighborhood should be. I think those neighborhoods that have the experience and the people should be able to go and work with other neighborhoods, new neighborhood associations that are working, and help them become better and become what they need to be without, like a mentor program, almost. Why isn't there more of that, like a sister city, sister neighborhood program? I think that would be a fabulous idea. The only other thing I can really think to say is, I love where I live. I love Kansas City, and I really hope that in the future, we can see all of Kansas City be the fabulous place to raise your kids and for families to live that it was meant to be and should have been all along. Any questions? Nobody?
I can.
Yeah, any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It said you've been on the board for 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
So what are you looking for? Why do you want to return for a portion?
I think that the northwest of Kansas City, while everybody thinks it's great, we're kind of the stepchild of Kansas City. We don't get a lot of attention. Google Fiber comes in, we're like too far removed from Kansas City to be part of that process and all of that. And we need to be represented more, and we need to bring the experience we have in our neighborhoods up there and be using it to help other neighborhoods. Yes, sir.
What are have you characterized the traps that the south part and the midtown part of the city fell into that you characterized it?
The way I've seen it, the way I've just been 15, well, I've lived in Kansas City for about 17 years, is allowing businesses and development to move and encroach into neighborhoods and driving people out of neighborhoods. Neighborhoods they weren't, I guess, necessarily always as organized as they should have been. And you go to areas like Midtown, and there's little rows of houses and a couple blocks, but everything around it is businesses. And it loses the sense of community that they once had and the connections they had with their neighbors, because now their neighbors are businesses. and not people and not families, and that helps drive a lot of people out of those areas. Where do you live at?
I live in Midtown, in one of those neighborhoods that has businesses that you're talking about.
Exactly.
I'm not leaving anytime soon.
But you've seen what's happened. The more businesses come in, the more people leave. And I think we just have to be really careful of that. Anything else?
Anybody else with a question?
Well, thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Tom Gorens is the he's on the Northeast representative, and he is not here today, and so he had an illness in the family, so you will be able to read about his candidate statement in the election booklet there, and so we will move on from there. The first person I've got on the is Marie Bouffard, and so I will have her up next. Were you hoping you were going to be last?
I was hoping I was gonna be last.
Didn't work that way.
Yes, it's Ann, it's not Anna, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my spelling.
Oh, you're gonna read something?
Or somebody, yeah, I was just gonna introduce you. You're welcome to come up here and stand by me while I read it. She moved to Midtown from Overland Park because she wanted a Midtown lifestyle and the sense of community. She's currently on the board of her homeowners association and has served now for 2 years, right? 2.5 years. She's not an officer yet.
No, I'm.
Are you an officer?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Anne Marie has an overall interest in the health and safety of her neighborhood and for all of the areas surrounding her. She likes to garden, especially with native plants for residential surroundings, and is working on a community vegetable garden for our area. Correct?
Yes, thank you.
I will then introduce Anne Marie.
Thank you. When I was called and asked for my statement, I told her it was gonna be extremely lean. I don't spread myself thin. I like to put myself into a project 100% that I can devote my time to. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio, which a lot of people don't realize is also the Midwest. And I remember living on the west side of town. And my parents would load the kids up in the car. We'd go to the east side to visit my grandparents. And it was a time where, you know, my grandparents would say, "We gotta move, neighborhood's getting dark." And as a child, you know, I didn't understand that, but I lived it. And I heard, not my parents, but my grandparents speak this way. So of course we lived, I think there was one African-American student in my high school in Cleveland. So I didn't have a lot of that diversity to grow up with. But then I traveled around the world 3 times. And I saw different countries, different cities, just amazing how some of them were so poor, but the people were so happy. And it was nice to see that diversity. And with my 3 children, I have 3 young children, 37-year-old son, 24-year-old daughter, and a 22-year-old son. I have taught them that the word hate isn't in our vocabulary. They could cuss, but that was one word that wasn't gonna come into our lives. Like she said, told you, I was Overland Park, Kansas, lived there for 17 years. And moved, when the kids were all out of the nest, I thought it's time to find someplace that I can make a difference. I'm high energy, I like to get my hands dirty. Meetings, I work for the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. We have meetings about meetings, so it doesn't bother me. You know, I look forward to being part of this board and making a difference in the community. I love getting to know the people, and I've never met a stranger. I don't care if it's in a grocery store line, I'm gonna meet them, I'm gonna know them. Thank you.
Any questions for Anne Marie? Anybody? Okay. Well, move on. Sure. Go right
So
ahead.
obviously you had a sense, and thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, you certainly had a sense of what Center City was prior to moving here, right? But you knew
I did.
to move here.
I did.
How is it now that you've been a resident for a few years? I mean, was it kind of what you thought it would be?
The first week, if I wouldn't walk outside in the dark. I was afraid to the first week. By the second week, meeting people in the neighborhood, seeing the familiar faces, getting to know who the drug dealers are, getting to know who the prostitutes are, getting to know the neighbors. You recognize they're all individuals. You know, how they came upon those paths and how they wound up in Center City, you know, they all have different stories. But no, I love living there. Am I scared to live there? Not one iota. I walk my dogs at 5 o'clock in the morning or midnight, doesn't matter. And they're licensed.
And they have shots.
Yes.
I had just a brief comment followed by a question. Anne Marie's being quite humble in her statement. I live close by to her, and we're sort of brothers and sisters in terms of neighborhood beautification. The corner of Armour and Truth has been different since she's been there, in terms of weeding the planting beds around there, getting it cleaned up, planting trees and flowers at her expense, in front of her building and along the street. My question for you is, why did you talk about this? Are you so humble?
You can see me on Sunday mornings picking up the trash at that intersection.
Thank you for bringing that up. We appreciate that and for pointing that out to all of us. For very nice things to say and very good things to know. The next person we've got from the same area of the Central West region is going to be Alan Norman. Alan is currently on the KCNAC and was a city code inspector at one time in the past. He's had 2 nonprofit businesses, I believe you said, and was on the ad hoc group which formed the Truce Quarter Association. I may not have the exact name of that right, but he was there for that. The Kansas City Focus Prize was awarded to the Truce Quarter group with his help. He's been on KNAC for 2 years and has been a co-chair of the Community Action Network, which is one of the CAN centers, is that correct? He has been a realtor, and he was a member of the KC Regional Association of Realtors. He's also been a real estate appraiser, my own profession, and worked as such until 2003, when he left due to a difference in the market and the lending processes, and some of us get discouraged with that. So, with no more remarks, I will introduce you to Alan Norman.
Thank you. In the Central Western region, we have a great diversity of neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods are somewhat different than some of the others in that when we talk about businesses and residences, we have a lot of business, industrial encroachment into residential areas and vice versa. We have residential areas that are encroaching into business areas. I'm very proud of the fact that I've been able to be a part of working with many neighborhoods, the diverse neighborhoods in the Central Western region. The Central Western region goes from Prospect to State Line, from Meyer Boulevard to the river on the north. And in there we have a lot of diversity. We have a diversity of neighborhoods, income, people, race, we got it. And that's what makes it wonderful. And when we celebrate our oneness by recognizing these diversities, we really have strength. And Kansas City has a lot of strength. Its neighborhoods are not weak, they're strong. I've been privileged to work with a lot of diverse groups in the city on many different projects. I've probably gotten more out of it than others have. But it gives me an opportunity to give back too. My wife and I also intentionally moved to where we are down in Hospital Hill area from Overland Park about 17 years ago. We intentionally moved there because we like the area, we like the diversity, and we like the challenge of it. And it certainly has lived up to that. What I have to give, I think, to KCNAC is this diverse history of neighborhoods in the trenches. I pulled weeds and hauled brush and done all these things that everyone else is doing. I appreciate where you're coming from. I've also had the opportunity to work with like the Greater Downtown Area Planning and Implementation Group. A little different than what we normally think of residential neighborhoods. All residential neighborhoods are not little white picket fences. We have residential neighborhoods in our downtown area that consist of 1 or 2 buildings of high-rise condos. The definition of what a neighborhood is kind of changing a little bit. And I look forward to working with all the neighborhoods, the different neighborhoods, and having a united neighborhood organization. One of the things that I've wanted to do, and we've made lots of progress in the last couple of years on, is establishing a 2-way conversation better two-way conversation between the neighborhoods, the people, and the city. We've made a lot of progress there. We continue to move in that direction. We're now having neighborhood forums and meetings out in the neighborhoods, which makes it much easier for neighborhood people to communicate. It gets us closer to them. My style is not to butt into neighborhood activities, but to be there to help you if you need me. And my main thrust has been to work on the policy issues that affect neighborhoods. We spend a lot of time going to city committee meetings and things like that to speak for neighborhoods. If I can do any assistance to any of you, just call me. I'm there.
Does anyone have any questions for Alan? Anyone?
Well, yeah, I have a question.
Go right ahead.
There's a little bit of background. Alan, as you know, back a year or two ago, you were involved in founding a new neighborhood association, sort of on the come without actually having any geography attached to it. One of the blocks that when you founded it, was going to be a 2-square block neighborhood association. One of the blocks was part of Hyde Park. You said you don't like to go into other neighborhoods and kind of invade their territory, but that's exactly what happened. You were one of 3 organizing people with this new neighborhood. My understanding is you didn't consult with Hyde Park, you just filed the forms, and you ran into some heat from that, and Hyde Park basically pushed you off that block. But I think your statement that you don't do that the only activity of this board that I know that you were involved in was doing that. And you didn't notify my neighborhood, which is nearby, or the Hyde Park neighborhood. And the people that want to do this is hard for me to say, but some of them were involved in mishandling city funds. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Mishandling Truce Festival money. Some of the folks affiliated with this proposed new organization. And that's all I'm going to say about it, unless you want me to get into more detail.
Well, what I'd like to say is I don't think this is the forum for that discussion. But since you opened it up, I think that people are entitled to a bit of a comment from there. Number one, I didn't form that organization. I merely was helping them get their charter. It makes no difference to me whether the organization is there or not, personally. But I feel like it's my duty. It's my duty to help them if they want to proceed with it. That's between them and Hyde Park and Center City and the city. But on those issues, it really is the city that makes those decisions, not us, not me. And I really don't know what else I can say about that, Peter.
Well, I guess
I'd be glad to talk with you about it in person. I'd be glad to talk with you about that if you have questions about it. If I can maybe make you feel better about it, fine. But I don't know if this is necessarily.
Well, I don't really want to feel better. I want to get to the truth. You were listed as an incorporator on a state document with your signature on it as an incorporator.
No, it's not my signature. I correct you. My signature is not on it.
Well, then somebody forged your signature.
This is not the form for that.
I was gonna say, I think we're gonna need to,
Look it out, so let's go on past that
and maybe the two of us, or
talked
whoever
about that
can
a
talk
little bit.
about it later on, after the others have been heard.
But Peter, we've known each other a long time. I'd be glad to talk with you about it if you want to talk about it, but not here.
Well, I'd like to just make a statement of that, because in your statement, Mr. Norman, you said you like to come into neighborhood meetings and help them, and you're there for them. And in the 2 years I've served as vice president of Center City Neighborhood Association, every month, first Saturday of every month, we have a meeting. And the only time we had a meeting where you could cut the tension with a knife was the one that you came to. And you had to stand up because you were so angry, and everybody was getting tense. And that's not coming into a neighborhood. So I will just make that statement.
Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead with our next person and let them get to their statement so that we can get everybody done. And then in question and answer period or later on after we're done, if you want to, we can come back to that. We can talk about it differently. Kit Kubis has also lived in the Hyde Park area for over 13 years. He is also a candidate for the Central West portion, and he has not served on the board of his homes association. He's been an entertainer, and when he said that to me over the phone when we were talking about what he had done or certain things that he liked to do, etc., and he said he'd been an entertainer, I kind of got the idea of, as in entertaining kids' parties and things like that.
I do that too.
This man's a jazz musician, okay? So I was a little bit off in the picture that was forming in my head on that one. They've played many places throughout the city, and I'm sure throughout the surrounding areas. So I will introduce Mr. Kit.
Thank you. Let me say up front that having taught history, government, and economics for 32 years, including starting at the Sale Academy right down the hill here, and being a professional entertainer, musician, all my adult life, one thing I can't stand is boring my audience. So let me make it short. 16 years ago, my wife Carolyn and I bought a home at the corner of 34th and Charlotte in Hyde Park. It was a good neighborhood. Not a great neighborhood. Had my car broken into a couple times and lost some plants and stuff off the porch. Minor stuff, but the kind of stuff you don't expect in a great neighborhood. Well, in the last 16 years, I gotta say, a lot has changed, not just in Hyde Park, but throughout what I like the term you used. I still use the term Midtown because I grew up in Midtown, and I've lived in Midtown, Kansas City most of my life. And it's the kind of things that you wanna see are people moving back, and especially families. I just noticed the other day, I hadn't really paid that much attention, how many more kids are going up and down the street. Well, when families move in, you've got a lot more stability. And that's what we look for. Now, I don't know, because I've never been associated with this council, what they can actually do. I'd like to find out, and I'm really interested in finding out and being a part of it. Now, what can I add to this council? My voice. Whatever anybody might say about me as a teacher or an entertainer, and I think it'd be mostly good. One thing nobody will ever question is when I talk, people have a tendency to listen. Now, they may or may not like what I have to say, but they do listen to me. And I'd like that voice to be the voice of the Central West District. And I want to be on something, I want to be a part of something that does mean something. Do I know all the issues? No, but I'll certainly learn them. And one thing I found out just recently from an email I got from somebody from another district, I think it was from Crossroads, I haven't been interested in some of the issues that people have talked about because they didn't affect me. But having taught history as many years, especially government as many years as I did, I know for sure one thing that you have to do. The issue isn't I, it's us. And I have to listen to people, and I want to listen to the people in the various communities and see what they have to say. Now let me end by saying this. Let me put in a plug for KC Parks and Rec. For many years now, if you want to get in a good Christmas spirit, I don't know if you've ever gone to what they call Santa's Wonderland in any parks around Kansas City. If you have, you've seen me because our band has been planning for that for years and years. And it's a great way of starting off your Christmas season. It's always the first weekend in December. Thursday night, the 5th, it's in Swope Park. Next night, Friday night, is in my area, Gillum Park. Saturday, it's Penguin Park in North Kansas City. They have it it's the best, actually the best one we've always had. And then,
It's the best park in the Northland, period.
it's a great park.
It's awesome.
And Sunday is at Longview Track, so we cover the whole area. So if you get a chance, bring your kids, your grandkids, neighborhood kids out, enjoy yourselves, let them meet Santa, and all of you sing along with our band. And finally, going along with the same issue, my wife and I decorate the outside of our house for Christmas, big time. I'm trying to compete with the Plaza. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm trying to get there. I have no sense of visual. All my abilities are here. But it's big and bright. If you want to get your season started, I turn them on Thanksgiving night. So I, as I said, compete with the Plaza. And they stay on during the whole season, clear up through New Year's Eve. So if you want to stop by, corner of 34th and Charlotte, look at my house, get a good feeling inside. And sometime during the summer when I'm out mowing, stop by and say, hey, I really like your Christmas lights. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I should have probably asked Alan this also, but I didn't notice it until just now, that there's a lot of interest in the Central West seat. What do you attribute that to?
I have absolutely no idea. I was told originally that there would be 3, and then I see on that there's actually 6 people running. I know that we have a strong neighborhood in Hyde Park. And I also know, because I have very good friends in Valentine, Union Hill, all over. I do know that people really genuinely care about this. I grew up in Midtown, as I said, and I have seen the good and bad. I've seen many, many changes. And I really think why people are moving back is because they see positive things happening in the Central West District. And it's a big area. In fact, I didn't realize until actually Ann told me how many neighborhoods associations there are. I had no idea that there were that many. So I always just thought it was Hyde Park and a few others.
You need to know some people north.
I think it shows an interest in the Central West area for being involved. I think there are more and more people who want to get out and get involved with the heart of the city. Some can say the south area is the heart of it, and some can say the north area. But I truly believe the Midtown area is the heart of the whole city. And I think there are a lot of people out here who want to get involved with it. And I think that's why we've got a number of people running for this position.
Oh, one other thing, please vote for me. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so as we're moving right along here, the next one is going to be for Rodney. Rodney Sampson the second. Yep. And he served with me on the KNAC Council. He was appointed by Bob Mohart and chaired the committee that brought the group into being as an actual council. He's a member of the Longfellow Community Association and former president and treasurer of the association. He's been a member of a steering committee that purchased, rehabbed, and resold properties as a committee, correct? Okay, want to make sure I hadn't gone wrong with you. He went from being, but that's because you sent it to me. I couldn't write it with everybody else on the phone. He went from being a Longfellow representative to a member of the Westport 2000, Truce Together, and Focus committees and groups. He's lived in the area for 33 years. His hobbies and interests outside of community activism, which is his passion, include cars, carpentry, computers, and competitive volleyball. Rodney?
It's good to be here again. Seems like every 2 years we have, oh, yeah, it is every 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much my track record speaks for me. I've been around for a long time. I've seen a lot of things. I hate putting out community fires, those that the city lights for us. My main effort is to make sure we don't get trampled on. I want to make sure that we are represented at city level, which we don't seem to get. Every time we turn around, something else shows up. Chapter 88, and they redid the code. We've worked a long time in chapter 80 to get our notification system set up, and it was just starting to work right. And then they pull the rug out from underneath us and say, oh, we gotta do it again. Doesn't work like that. We get tired of reinventing the wheel. My main effort here is to make sure that each and every one of you get instilled with a level of public responsibility, because unless you have that, we're not going anywhere. I've got 33 years worth of ideas and such that I have already uploaded to the mayor, and the mayor before that, and the mayor before that. Seen no action. That's why I'm here. I want to see those ideas come to fruition, because they will stop some of the things that we're seeing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions for Rodney? Anyone? Yes, sir.
I have two, can I ask them?
Absolutely.
One, because the last question is why you think there's so much interest in the Central West seat.
Well, actually, we can go back to a history lesson. 1972, Longfellow was the very first community association to be formed in Kansas City. I was a member of that. You can start by walking forth
and south. Hyde Park came after that, so did everybody else. Hyde Park was very strong because they had some really fantastic properties and they had some people that could actually market their area. Coleman Highlands, every 20 years they have to go through and they have to vote themselves in an ordinance that will allow them to be a single-family owner-occupied area.
Could you speak up a little bit?
Sure. Coleman Highlands every year, every 20 years has to go through and vote themselves an ordinance which allows them to become a single-family owner-occupied area. I've been told by other people in neighborhood preservation and the legal department that you can't come up with a zoning ordinance that says we demand to be able to say, we don't want any landlords in our area. You must live here. I think it's only fair that we be allowed to do that. There's a lot of ideas that they say you can't do. In 1995, 1996, I came up with presenting to the group the land bank idea. Now, David Park can say, yes, I did that. I brought it to him. It came from the Community Association of America. They've done it on the East Coast for a number of years. And it's innovative ideas like that that will actually get us off the map and get us moving.
What was your second question?
Well, I think you partially answered my second question. My second question was, these, ideas that you sent to the mayor, and the mayor before him, and the mayor before them. I was just wondering how many of those, things can be proactively done and don't have to wait for the mayor to do it, since we have a powerless mayor, form of government.
That's a good question, and that's why we are here. Because we're the community, we're trying to get things done. But it also seems that we get a lot of things thrown in our path that keep us from getting things done.
Yes.
So Mr. Sampson, you said, let your record speak for itself, obviously some of us, have known you for that long, and to be aware of you through just some of these that have come out in reports and such. So if you could just tell us, in all the years you've been engaged, is there a single thing, or maybe one or two things that you think actually is noteworthy that you want to share with this group?
Could you repeat?
So my question is, some of us may not necessarily know him as well, but so I'm just asking him to tell us, is there one or two things that he would like to share with this group that he thinks is noteworthy?
In the mid-80s, the Longfellow Community Association decided we were going to do something that no other community association had done. We decided we were going to take the houses at Courtney Road, which are right across from the Longfellow School at 28th and Holmes. They were scheduled for demolition. We decided to save them. We worked together with the city council, worked together with Missouri Neighborhood Housing Development, which was then Jim Glover was the current chairman of that, and we came up with financing that would allow us to save those homes. Yeah, we went into the hole, but we have 4 new homes that we rehabbed and sold, and they're still occupied. And that's just one of the major projects that we worked on. Union Hill's another one. I was involved with the Union Hill redevelopment. Union Hill's now on its own. It was part of Longfellow.
We helped bring it back too.
We brought it back to the grave.
Yep.
It's a lot of creative thinking to keep neighborhoods strong and keep them going in the
It's a lot
direction
of
they
work.
need to go, yeah.
Any other questions? No? Okay.
Thank
We'll
you.
go to the next. The next candidate for the Southwest Region representative is William Bates. Mr. Bates.
Central West?
This is still Central West. Mr. Bates is currently trying to open a child care center, and we're working hard to achieve that, correct? Yep. Mr. Bates has a bachelor's degree in urban studies with a concentration in housing and community development. He's currently serving on the historic Mannheim Park Board. He also has an MBA in business admin and is presently the chair of the Historic Housing Group. He's lived in the overall city area for 7 years and has lived specifically in the Hyde Park section for 3 to 4 years. He has hobbies of gardening, both vegetables and especially flowers. So, Mr. Bates?
Hi, my name is William Bates. I'm interested in this position because I have a lot of experience in urban planning because that's what my bachelor's degree is in. What really is one of my main focuses of joining this position is Truce Avenue. I care deeply about Truce. I care deeply about the overall area as well, but Truce is our main center of our Central West corridor. My main focus with Truce is to make sure we have better zoning, make sure we have better different types of housing, different types of businesses, make sure we have it something that's a lot better than what it is today. I see it as an opportunity rather than a negative, because now we have the opportunity to get those things that we want in the future, like grocery stores, like small shops and different things like that. I also main focus is to help east of Truce. East of Truce still needs help, but it's my focus in urban planning to continue to help focus on that area and continue to help bring up new leaders, help with the boards and the associations. With my current job as historic North Manhattan Park, I did just that. Became a leader and I helped organize it. We got new bylaws, we got new organization system. We now have money in the treasurer, so that's my goal, is to help these neighborhoods become a better, striving neighborhood than they were before.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bates? Anybody around the room here that I'm not picking up on? Yes, sir. What's your first name?
Spark.
Spark. Spark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely got that.
You got it. I'm gonna be able to call you by name.
Another Central West candidate, I just want to know what you think the interest in this seat is.
I don't know. I'm just here to represent the people, because I feel like that's what I'm here for. And all I want to do is just ask for your vote.
So can I ask this question?
Sure.
William, your background is in urban planning. I mean, are there any kind of special planning issues? You talked about the importance of having planning and zoning for Truce, but does that problem go larger than just Truce? Are there any, kind of additional kind of planning work that's needed in that Central West area?
Absolutely. We have, those you may not know it, but a lot of our Central West district is zoned for it's zoned like the suburbs. Whereas when it was built for smaller lots, but now and the setbacks are also were built closest to the street. Now the setbacks are way far back. There's also, you have to have a bigger lot. And to me, that's in part, because that's what makes their city look cohesive, instead of having a zoning situation that doesn't match what we currently have, and the housing types that we currently have.
So do you think Truce is doomed? Particularly, Mrs. Jones' comment about neighborhoods and businesses being right next to each other.
I personally don't see a problem with that. I see it as an opportunity. I think when you have businesses, that's what helps make families, have a place to go to the store.
The right businesses.
Yeah.
It has to be a cohesive work with the businesses and the community to make sure the right businesses that are gonna help the community come in.
Absolutely, she's right spot on there. We have to have the right business, like you said, but we should have businesses. We need to have a way to have, Truce needs some kind of initiative to make it better, so that businesses will come to Truce, or come to, our area and open their business, but make sure it's the right business and not some business that we just don't want.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can't just open a strip mall and put out a for rent.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is just to clarify, Spark relies his own opinion about this. He's a big Truce booster, so his question is waiting. Anne Marie lives within 100 yards of Truce. William lives in a house right there. Truce has got a lot of like folks. For you that don't know, there's a lot going on.
Yep.
And there's people in this room, a lot
It's
of
coming back.
several of the candidates that have been responsible for
Spark is one of those big,
I'm glad to see so many, I mean, that several of you are from the actual same places that came today to speak in behalf of your areas, not just the candidates themselves, but in behalf of the areas, to show that those areas are improving. That's of interest to me as a real estate appraiser. I need to know those kinds of things. So, just
But to
my,
your point, though, it is in fact that mobilization, it's in fact showing up and having a strong show of force from individuals who, where the voices of these communities have been, not necessarily always represented. So, hey, I think it's a great thing, and we have so many different folks from the Central West area who really are ready to kind of say, okay, I'm ready to serve, I'm ready to attend meetings upon meetings, I'm ready to be there. So I think it's a good thing. And kudos to everybody here from that area, I'm one of them, who are here to basically lend their voice and lend their talent, so thank you very much.
great, thank you, appreciate that remark. We're now gonna move to Lee Lambert, who is, the Central East Region representative currently. I believe you're unopposed, aren't you? He is unopposed. He served with me on KNAC and has lived in his present home for about 2 years, but lived in the overall neighborhood for about 32. He's lived in the 3rd District for about 35 to 40 years. He's still serving on the homeowners board of his overall neighborhood, has done that for 25 years. He's held all officer positions and has been president 3 different times. He was vice president for 12 years, right?
I think that's
Yeah. His main hobby is neighborhood engagement. He's chosen to concentrate on crime issues in the old Northeast neighborhood and served on the steering committee for the Northeast Can Center. He is also on the board of review for the Liquor Control Department. He has been involved with Greater Downtown Area and Planning Organization and served on 2 subcommittees for downtown. His true passion is repopulating and rejuvenating the city. Lee? Please.
about said it all.
You would stand up.
I've lived in the Independence Plaza neighborhood for about 33 years. I've been on their board for 25 of that. I've been involved with the Independence Plaza neighborhood for 25. And like she said, I've held every position on the board. Mainly concentrating on crime prevention, and served with the Northeast Mobile Crime Watch for I think about 10, 15 years while it was in existence. And my house burnt down up there. My family decided we needed to be someplace else. I live in I guess what you'd call the far eastern part of Kansas City now. Because in my opinion, when the news talks about the east part of Kansas City, they seem to stop about either 435 or the Ridge Cutoff, where the stadiums are. I live just a couple of blocks to the east of that, and Kansas City, in Joe's area, Joe Jackson is also Central East representative along with me. Our area reaches all the way out to Lee Summit Road in the Little Blue Valley neighborhood out there. Since I've been on the board, I came on, or was appointed last January to fill an empty seat, where the previous person had resigned. And since then, I've been trying to get around to all the area plan meetings, which will encompass most of all the neighborhoods, if not all the neighborhoods eventually, in the Central East region. I figured it was a little easier that way to meet the neighborhoods and get to hear what they say, than trying to get to every neighborhood meeting, although I try to get to some of them. Because we've got 60 or at least 60 neighborhoods, and some of them meet on the same night, so it makes it a little hard to get to those. Since I've been involved with neighborhoods, I believe in neighborhoods. I've supported them and promoted neighborhoods for the last 33 years. And the reason I do this is because I believe Abe Lincoln said, government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
And we had a saying back in the sixties, late sixties, early seventies, power to the people. Those are two of my mottos. I believe the people come first before anything else. And this is my way of representing neighborhoods in the Central East area.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Anybody? Behind me
Oh,
or
can I,
anything?
one more thing?
Sure.
Nobody asked this guy why I'm running unopposed.
Okay.
And I'm gonna presume that's because they believe that Joe and I are doing a good job.
Excellent.
A couple of things that we have started, the southwest, or the south area started up a newsletter, southeast, I think, they share that with the southwest side also. Joe has started, and I'm helping him with it, started a newsletter for the central east area, and we share that with the central east area also. And I've served on the bylaw committee on the board now, and want to keep continuing to do that, and I guess I'm gonna get to, so.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have a question? You? No? Okay. So the next one we're gonna turn to is, we're going to go to the southwest portion. We're gonna go further south now, in the city. We're going to talk to, Mr. C. Stan Henry. I didn't get in touch with him, but, he's here and he's going to give us, his, candidate statement. And he's talked about it in, the one I have of learning a great deal in his professional life. And experience has taught him a lot of things, so we'll let Stan now stand up and talk. Thank you.
Well, first thing is, excited to know some of the folks in the room. That's how new to me, and I remember meeting William once before after he just graduated, and we've had several urban planners that have worked in our office as interns. Stan Henry is what I go by. I keep that there to always remind me who I'm, my dad's son. And he was Clayton Stanley Henry Sr., and I'm the junior. So I shook that junior a long time ago. Stan stuck. So I've lived in Kansas City, basically metropolitan area between Kansas City, raised as a kid in Old Northeast, then spent some time in Gladstone in North Kansas City, a little time in Independence, but the majority of my adult life, from about the age of 20 on, has been from Midtown into Waldo in South Kansas City. I have worked 35 years in Midtown Kansas City, where I have developed incredible relationships. My current work for the last 7 years, I'm the manager of community outreach and CID operations for the Main Street Community Improvement District. Now, one of the first things that I did as that position when we started the CID on Main Street was we did what was called the nuisance crime initiative. One of the biggest issues that has really been a problem, even held hostage and limited the ability of that business corridor and those neighborhoods to strive, was this nuisance crime. And we see it all the time through all our neighborhoods, whether it's the trespassing, whether it's public intoxication, whether it's, let's be honest about it, it's just anything and everything you can imagine. Graffiti. Graffiti is a pet peeve of mine. Litter is a pet peeve of mine. You'll probably see me picking up trash anywhere in Kansas City at any given time. And I might even tell you about it if you litter. So, and I'm sure there's people in the room that have done the same thing. Trust me. You're not here as community people if you haven't had that passion. So my work is to create a better environment for people to do business, for businesses to come into, and increase the livelihood of the neighborhoods, working in conjunction with it. Build strong neighborhoods by building the strong business communities that support those neighborhoods. Yeah, you know what? We do want a lot of businesses near and around neighborhoods. It's because as our city continues to grow, whether you're up north, down south, or in Midtown, people are no longer going to be able to drive 10, 20, 30 miles to work back and forth. it's not a reality in the future. We've got to build communities where people can work nearby and enjoy all the things that the city has for them. So I want to really go back to the things that I've been active in over the last 20 plus years. Is I've served on as a board director for my church at All Souls at 45th and Walnut. I was the founding board member of the Walk-in Westport Community Improvement District in Westport, which really created kind of a sense of order of the way that businesses work within the community itself, and we have a response to the city itself. Most recently, as I have been appointed by the mayor 2 years ago to serve on the Violent Crimes Commission, review the 2008 recommendations, and then make new recommendations to the mayor and the city council on things that we think we can do to help reduce violent crimes in our neighborhoods. And in that was an incredible learning opportunity, and that's why it has got me to this point. I tell everybody I reside at 90th and Main, but Kansas City is where I live. And I want to take my expertise of working with the police department, the prosecutor's office, City Hall, all the people who are there to make decisions for all of us, and make those decisions for all of us. Thanks.
Any questions for Stan? No? Okay, good. And last but not least is our secretary of KNAC, which is Rianna Deselich. Rianna is unopposed in her district for the Southeast District. And she's on KNAC right now. One of the things I didn't know in getting a little background was that she has a degree in agricultural science and speaks Spanish fluently. She's living in a historic home, has been there for about 7 years. She's constantly working on neighborhood activities all the time, numerous ones all at the same time. She's busy with us too, and I know she's the right hand of our president back there. Her favorite things to do besides neighborhood activism is gardening, both vegetables and flowers. She likes to swim and surf when she's close to an ocean.
You got your own beach.
Yeah.
I wish. My name is Rianna Deselich. My son Tyrell, I'd like to introduce, is in the back of the camera there. He's my oldest. He's 17, and I'm very proud of him. It's interesting talking about Troost because I just had a memory of Troost. I grew up in the southeast area. I grew up really close to Swope Park, but my grandmother lived at 3800 Forest. I used to take the bus in 1969 from Swope Park and 63rd Street up to Armour and Troost so I could meet Dennis Beebe and we could make out behind the Strand Art Theater. So I have, yeah, when I was 13. I just want to say that I've been all over Kansas City, and when I was 19, or when I was 12, we moved out to Lee Summit, out to the suburbs, because my father was murdered. So we decided to get out of the southeast area and move out to the suburbs. I lived there until I was 19, moved to California. I went to school in Los Angeles, and then went to San Luis Obispo and got my degree in agriculture science, and then from there I moved to Santa Cruz, California. That's where I started surfing, that's when I got into produce, and then from there, I went on a business trip to Mexico, and I went to the area that has the world's longest wave. So that's how I stayed in Mexico for 3 years. I worked with organic farmers, banana farmers. We actually exported bananas to the market, the organic market in California. I moved back to Kansas City in 1994 because my sister died, so I wanted to come back and be with my mom. I met Mr. Wright pretty much a month afterward. We got married, that's been 19 years ago. I moved to Brookside with him, and then from there we moved a few years ago out to the southeast corner of Kansas City. I live across the street from Unity Village. And I live in that area because I really love land. I really love to work in the garden and to I just love that area. But I'm also, my heart is in Midtown. I think some of the things that I've worked on since I've been with Kansas City Neighborhood Advisory Council, I worked on the stoplight issue with Joe. I was just mad as hell coming from my area of town, down 59th Street, hit Paseo, and see these stoplights turned off. And in other places, I really was passionate about getting those turned back on, mostly because of the children and the schools, and I also am a former teacher. So that's one of the things I worked on. Another thing that came across my path when I became a neighborhood activist was in my neighborhood, somebody wanted to move in and create a C-store, a gas station, and 144 apartments right next to large lot and expensive homes. So I thought, no, that's not gonna happen in my neighborhood. So I created a coalition of neighborhoods. We raised $150,000. We sued Kansas City, Missouri. I'm proud of the fact that I sued the city over Chapter 88 because it no longer gave people, the citizens, a voice. So I'm really proud of that. I've worked on, recently, a Burns and McDonald wanted to move their highway sign to 95th and Bannister, and then the city wanted to start an ordinance all over to allow offices, businesses within offices to have 250 square foot signs, when now the regulation is 10. So I said, no, we're not gonna have that either, so I fought against that. So basically, I'm a fighter. I'm always looking out for, the little man. I'm also into the commuter rail idea. I work on neighborhood issues every single day. Ask my son. I'm crazy about this stuff. So vote for me.
Questions?
I want to say one thing.
Joe?
Rianna, when I took the job, I'm busy. And Rianna had more concerns about me being able to be doing this job and everything else, but we talk every morning for about an hour over a lot of things that maybe a lot of people in neighborhoods don't even know about, that we have to discuss, that we get calls from other neighborhoods on issues about what help they need, how we're gonna affect, when we need to meet. We may meet anywhere from 3 to 4 times a month, but that doesn't take into account about 200 emails that we may exchange on a monthly basis, just going back and forth, coordinate different things that are outside of NAC. And there is a lot more to this, being president of the Neighborhood Advisory Council, than a lot of people would think. I could not do it without Rianna and her family. And I was telling her husband the other day, I said, she makes what I do so much more easy, because I can tell her, okay, this is what we need to work on. I'll work on this piece. Can you work on these issues? We come back together, we got both pieces together, but it makes it real easy to have somebody like her as a right on. So, thank you, Rianna.
Yes.
I just had a quick comment. I also graduated from Southeast. I have a very long memory. I was pretty sure that was you behind the strand.
But that was 35th and True. A long way from Southeast High School.
He knows. So are there any other questions that anyone would like to ask the candidates right now, that aren't going to get us tied up for 30 minutes or so? Okay, I think that is pretty much the end of it then. And Joe is going to speak, do some closing comments, etc. I will tell you one other thing. Carol Winterroud is also applying for, or wants to be, is a candidate for the Southwest region, but she is out of town, and so you'll be able to look at her message that's in your election booklet. That's it.
First and foremost, this is not about the I, this is about the we folks. This is a team effort. So if you're a KCNAC member that's not running for re-election, could you stand up, introduce yourself, and let people know what region you represent? Let's start with you, Katherine.
I'm Thomas Elmer. My everyday Monday through Friday job is I'm the chief of police of Garden City, Missouri. And I'm a lifelong resident of Kansas City, Missouri, lived there all my life. So I'm proud to say I've had the opportunity to help serve my community here in Kansas City on the Kansas City Neighborhood Advisory Council with these fine members here.
Aaron Holder, northwest of North River, serving the KCI area, a little bit over into Clay County.
I'm Richard Sales, Northeast representative, the first district up there. I'm a board member up at Northland Neighborhoods Incorporated.
Gary Palmer, I'm Southeast Region Representative for Kansas City Neighborhood Advisory Council. I'm also president of My Home Association Fairwood and committee chair of South KC Alliance, neighborhood committee chair of South KC Alliance, along with Rianna, who's also on there, and Tom Albert, and past president, I'm the president last year of the Kansas City Neighborhood Advisory Council.
And once again, my name is Jared Campbell, Central West Region Representative, and I currently live downtown.
And I'm Joseph Jackson. I'm his counterpart of the Central East Region Representative and this year's president. And I'm also president of Santa Fe Area Council, and I'm school board member for the 4th District, so there is a lot going on. I know you may not hear about us, but I want to tell you some of the things that we've done just this year and some of the things we've got planned for the future. We redistricted how the Neighborhood Advisory Council is set up, because what we had at one time was we just had at-large seats. And as the executive committee thought about it, said, at-large seats to do what? Now we have one at-large seat in every region. It helps out the people in that region, because there are about 100 neighborhood meetings in every region. And to try to have everybody make every region meeting is impossible. That's where the at-large person kicks in to help us go to that meeting and help address those concerns. We had a community forum this past May in Mohawk, where residents came, they learned about the volunteer inspector program, the trash forum, legal aid came, and also codes were there, because there's been a lot of changes in the 3rd District about how the 3rd District is set up as far as codes. We had about 40 people there, and all of them got trained on the VIP program so they can go back and help impact programs within their neighborhoods. As Rianna said, we fought the stoplight issue. This was the first time that neighborhoods, well, it's the second time that actually the city tried this. They tried it back in 1977. This time, neighborhoods didn't have a voice. And we all woke up one day and we saw stop signs in front of our lights and flashing lights, and we're like, what is this? 4 weeks later, the lights were off, and this affected about 16,000 students in the region. And it was not in just one city council district, but in all 6 council districts. And we were successful in getting those lights turned back on, but also with one caveat, that they could not turn off any light without first in the future having a community forum to tell neighborhoods how it would affect them and impact them. Chapter 88. This is where a group of neighborhoods banded together with their own cause to impact city ordinances that would not be able to happen to any other neighborhood, but happen to their neighborhood. The newsletters. There are thousands of emails that come out from City Hall on a daily basis. We try to take the most of those and condense them down to get the best of that information out to you, because we know that you don't have the time to look at all those particular things to find out what meeting's going on here, what free event may be going on there. So that's why it's vital that we have your information. But also we put out a special event when it's just the things for the next 2 weeks. Please pick up a copy as you go back. There's a free neighborhood leader luncheon at Kaufman that you have to sign up for by Monday. So free. All you have to do is sign up by Monday. You can go to Kaufman and enjoy a free meal. And one of our own, Ms. Carol Winterall, has been recognized. One of the most important things, I know a lot of you all may have heard about the water and sewer line program. We were the only organization in town that was able to get an individual from the company to fly up, and we hosted a forum where organizations could find out all about the program, the pros, the cons, and the negatives. No other organization within the city, including city council members, did this. We hosted president meetings. Myself and Carrie sat down and said, what would it be like if we could get neighborhood leaders within the region together and begin to talk and say, how are things impacting in your neighborhood? How are things working in your neighborhood? And begin to get communication together. From that conversation came Southland Region president meetings. And we're gonna be getting them now in the center city, and it's just gonna take us a little bit of time. We partnered with Legal Aid as a part of that Mohawk Forum. They did the beneficiary deed. They're gonna do another one, which is gonna be in our October briefing. We are gonna have everybody's heard about Obamacare and how it's gonna affect them. Care, if you can hold up on those red folders. AARP is hosting a lot of forums to tell people how it's going to impact them. They will come out to your neighborhood association meeting for free. But as a part of that, we're gonna be hosting one in the center city, we're gonna be hosting one up north, to let you know how it's gonna impact and why it's so important that you sign up as soon as possible. Because the program actually starts in January. You can begin to sign up October the 1st. If you sign up by October the 1st, you can begin to use those benefits January the 1st. Things we're looking at for next year. We're looking at having regional meetings with the police department within zones, so neighborhood leaders can work with the police departments and give them feedback about what's happening in their particular neighborhoods. Myself and Lee, and I saw Alan Norman at the crime summit that they had last week. There were a lot of good information there, but I know a lot of us get data from the police department on what happens in their neighborhoods. But how can we better use that data in a different way? Instead of getting that data, how can we figure out where the crime is happening and proactively begin to put in ways to actually stop crime and be more effective? Our website. We want to be able to break it down to have things that are going on in Northland, Center City, and Southland. As you look at today, there are 6 different things going on. We're consistently stepping on ourselves when people have to pick and choose. Imagine if you had one website at the folks, where you could look at it and find out at a glance what events are going to be going on in the community at one time. There is not one place that you can look at and find one place where you can find out what's going on. Also, our Facebook. Chief Albers does our Facebook. He does a great job of that. And when I came on a little bit over 2 years ago, we had